There are two types of pain in life: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. One weighs ounces, the other weighs tons. Every person you admire, every athlete, entrepreneur, warrior, artist, creator, leader, eventually discovered one truth: motivation is unreliable. Discipline is everything, because motivation is emotional. Discipline is identity. Motivation says, I'll do it when I feel ready. Discipline says, do it anyway. And the scary part? Most people spend their entire lives waiting to feel like doing the work. They wait to feel motivated to wake up early, motivated to study, motivated to exercise, motivated to change their life. But the people who transform themselves understand something different. Action creates motivation, not the other way around. And once you understand how discipline actually works, you stop forcing yourself. You become addicted to growth. You begin craving progress. You begin feeling uncomfortable when you waste time. You start protecting your future self. Today, you're going to learn 7 powerful strategies that can make discipline feel automatic. Not easy, but automatic. And by the end of this video, your mindset toward discipline may never be the same again. Because discipline isn't punishment, it's freedom. Strategy 1, stop trusting your feelings. Most people lose before they even begin because they obey their emotions. If they feel tired, they stop. If they feel bored, they quit. If they feel uncomfortable, they escape. But feelings are temporary. Your future cannot depend on temporary emotions. Imagine a pilot flying through a storm. If the pilot followed emotions instead of instruments, the plane would crash. Your goals are the same way. You cannot navigate life using feelings alone. You need systems. You need principles. You need standards. There's a story about a young man who wanted to become physically fit. Every Monday he promised himself, this week is different. But every evening after work he felt tired, so he skipped the gym. Weeks became months. Months became years. One day he saw an old photo of himself from years ago. He looked healthier, happier, more alive. And it hit him. His feelings had been controlling his future. That night he made one decision: no more negotiating with my emotions. The next day he went to the gym tired. The next day he went unmotivated. The next day he went sore. And eventually something changed. He stopped asking, how do I feel? And started asking, what must be done? That question changes lives. Because successful people aren't disciplined because they always feel good. They're disciplined because they act despite feelings. You must train yourself to understand this, where emotions are suggestions, not commands. Some mornings you'll feel weak. Do the work anyway. Because every time you act despite resistance, you weaken laziness and strengthen identity. And eventually, discipline becomes who you are, not something you try to do. Strategy 2, make discipline smaller. People fail because they make goals emotionally overwhelming. They try to change their entire life overnight. Wake up at 4 a.m., work out for 2 hours, read 50 pages, meditate, study, drink water, no sugar, no distractions. Then 3 days later, they collapse. Why? Because intensity is temporary. Consistency is transformation. A tiny habit repeated daily is more powerful than rare bursts of motivation. A man once decided to read 1 page every night before bed. 1 page. That sounds insignificant, but after weeks, 1 page became 5. 5 became 10. Eventually he loved reading, not because he forced himself, but because he built momentum. Discipline grows through evidence. Every small promise you keep tells your brain, I am someone who follows through. That identity becomes addictive. Start ridiculously small. Want to start exercising? Do 5 push-ups. Want to study? Study 10 minutes. Want to write? Write 1 paragraph. The goal at first is not perfection. The goal is repetition. Because repetition rewires identity. Most people underestimate the power of small wins, but confidence is built from proof. Every completed action, even tiny ones, becomes proof that you can trust yourself. And self-trust changes everything. You stop seeing discipline as suffering. You begin seeing it as self-respect. Strategy 3. Remove temptation before it removes you. Discipline is not only about willpower. Environment matters more than people realize. If junk food surrounds you constantly, you'll eventually eat it. If distractions are everywhere, you'll eventually lose focus. Many people think disciplined people simply have stronger minds. Sometimes they just have smarter environments. There's a powerful story about a student preparing for important exams. Every time he tried studying, He ended up scrolling social media for hours. He blamed himself constantly. I'm lazy. I have no focus. But one day he did something simple. He deleted the apps from his phone for 30 days. Suddenly, his concentration improved dramatically. What changed? Not his intelligence, not his motivation, his environment. Sometimes you don't need more discipline. You need fewer temptations. The truth is, your environment silently shapes your behavior every day. If your room is chaotic, your mind often becomes chaotic. If your phone controls your attention, your future gets controlled too. Discipline becomes easier when bad habits become inconvenient. Put your phone away while working. Prepare your clothes the night before. Keep books visible. Remove distractions before they attack your focus. Because every environment is training you into someone. The question is, who is it training you to become? Strategy 4. Fall in love with pain. This is where most people quit. The discomfort phase, the boring phase, the lonely phase, the exhausting phase. But discipline becomes powerful when you stop seeing discomfort as the enemy. Pain is evidence of growth. Think about the gym. Muscles grow through resistance. Your mind works the same way. Every time you resist distraction, you become mentally stronger. Every time you wake up early, despite wanting comfort, you sharpen your character. A young boxer once asked his coach, "How do I become mentally tough?" The coach replied, "Stop avoiding hard things." That's it. Most people spend life running from discomfort. Disciplined people train themselves to walk toward it because they understand something important. Temporary discomfort creates permanent strength. The cold shower, the difficult workout, the extra hour of studying, the awkward first attempt. These moments build resilience, and resilience creates confidence. Not fake confidence, real confidence. The kind that says, I can survive difficult things. And once your brain realizes you can survive discomfort, discipline becomes less terrifying. You stop fearing the process. You embrace it. Because every hard moment becomes proof that you are evolving. Strategy 5. Create a future version of yourself. One reason people stay inconsistent is because they have no emotional connection to their future. They sacrifice long-term greatness for short-term comfort. But discipline becomes easier when your future feels real. Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. What does that version of you look like? Stronger, smarter, confident, financially stable, healthy, focused? Now ask yourself, what habits created that person? Because your future self is being built by today's routines. Every action is a vote. Every decision shapes identity. A man once worked a low-paying job he hated. Every evening he played video games for hours because it helped him escape reality. But one night his younger brother asked him, "What happened to your dreams?" That question haunted him. He realized he had abandoned the person he wanted to become. So he changed one habit at a time. Instead of gaming all evening, he spent 1 hour learning skills online. 1 hour became 2. Months later, he started freelancing. Years later, his entire life changed. Not because of luck, because he finally respected his future self. When discipline feels hard, remember this. Your future self is either begging you to stay focused or suffering because you didn't. Strategy 6. Stop seeking perfection. Perfection destroys discipline. Because perfectionists quit the moment they fail. Miss one workout, they give up. One bad day, they restart next Monday. But disciplined people understand something powerful. Consistency matters more than perfection. You do not need a perfect week, you need a repeatable one. There's a famous idea called never miss twice. If you fail today, recover tomorrow. That mindset changes everything, because failure is normal. Even strong people struggle. Even focused people get distracted. Even disciplined people have bad days. The difference is they return quickly. A musician once practiced piano every day for years. Someone asked him, "What's your secret?" He answered, "I never stop after a bad session." That's discipline, not perfection, recovery. You must stop turning mistakes into identities. Missing once doesn't make you lazy. Failing once doesn't make you weak. What matters is whether you continue. Because every comeback strengthens your character. And over time, discipline stops feeling like pressure. It becomes your normal lifestyle. Strategy 7. Become obsessed with who you are becoming. The strongest form of discipline comes from identity. Not rewards, not fear. Identity. Instead of saying, I'm trying to be disciplined, say, I am a disciplined person. That shift matters because your brain constantly tries to stay consistent with identity. If you believe you are lazy, you'll behave lazily. If you believe you are focused, you'll protect your focus. Identity shapes action. A runner doesn't struggle every morning asking, should I run? Running is part of who they are. A reader reads, a fighter trains, a disciplined person executes. Your habits are creating your identity every single day, and eventually something beautiful happens. You stop chasing motivation videos. You stop waiting for inspiration. Because discipline has become automatic. You begin craving progress. Wasting time starts feeling painful. Growth starts feeling exciting. And people around you notice the difference. Your confidence changes. Your energy changes. Your standards change. Not because life became easier, but because you became stronger. One day, the results will show. The late nights, the early mornings, the sacrifices, the consistency. People will call you lucky, but they won't see the days you kept going while tired, the moments you fought distraction, the times you chose growth over comfort. Discipline is invisible at first, but eventually it becomes impossible to ignore. Remember this. Every action repeated becomes identity. Every identity repeated becomes destiny. Your future is not built in one dramatic moment. It's built in small daily decisions nobody applauds. The workout you almost skipped, the study session you almost avoided, the temptation you resisted, the promise you kept. That is where transformation begins, not in motivation, in discipline. So starting today, stop waiting to feel ready. Stop negotiating with comfort. Stop underestimating your potential, because the life you want is hidden inside the habits you avoid. And once you become addicted to discipline, average will never satisfy you again. If this message spoke to you, remember this: your future self is watching your decisions today.